So I see a lot of videos where people talk about one consciousness. They talk about this idea that, we're all connected or something, but a lot of it is just speculation or, people talking about the possibility of it. And I just want to confirm with this video that it is a very real thing and I've experienced it. What I mean by this is that it is completely true that the mind can open up essentially and be connected with like everything around it, as if there is no difference between you and everything else. Also, this can be achieved with pure just meditation. You don't need anything else beyond meditation. The way that you reach this place is essentially you sit and you listen. And you do that for a long time. You do a lot of meditation, a lot of silence, because when you're speaking, it's kind of like you're causing interference waves on the surface. You're acting on the surface of reality. And what you want to do is you want to sink below the surface. And to sink below the surface, you have to let everything else sort of like pile on top of you is the best way I can put it. It's like you have to become the listener of reality rather than being the one speaking all the time. So you sort of sit and you kind of feel this weight start to build up over time. Like the more that you sit in silence, the less that you speak. It's kind of like you sort of sink down to a heavier place within yourself. Anyway, so in my experience, I went for like several months. I was crazy back then. I did like several months of just meditation, like 8 hours, that like just crazy amounts of meditation. And I didn't speak to anyone because I was alone. So I wasn't speaking to anyone. I was just literally silent. And what happened was eventually it was sort of like all the things that made me like an individual person started to disappear, sort of, kind of like the walls fall away. And then it's just like you start to notice reality is sort of like one mind just speaking back and forth with itself. Like anything I would think, it would be like someone else would just instantly say it because I wasn't speaking it. So somebody else would say it. It was very interesting and it was like instant. Like I know you might have experienced this sometimes in your life, but this was like 24/7 all the time. Reality became so much of a mirror that it still is to me now, but it's so much of a mirror that there's almost like no separation between you and it. It's almost as if you and reality, what happens is it's no longer really even a mirror anymore. It's just like you become one. Like it's almost like you step into the mirror sort of. And now it's just one. It's not even a back and forth anymore because the mirror itself is really just like you and yourself having distance between you. You're able to see that it's a mirror. But then when you go like this and you start to put the mirrors closer and closer together, eventually it goes like this. And it's just, there's no mirror anymore. It's just oneness. So anyways, I'm going to explain this a little bit further with a diagram. Okay, so think of it this way. Each person on the surface is a tree, and they have roots. Each tree has roots beneath it, right? They also have branches on the surface, right? I didn't draw those, but each person has roots that go deep into the ground. These roots are things people identify with. It's kind of like their belief system, right? So each person is separated by their belief system, by what makes them them. So this is like all these roots right here are sort of like these conflicting beliefs between people too. Like they're what keep you separate from another person. It's kind of like who you identify as, what you identify with. All these things are what make you you. I also talk about it as like waves on the surface of an ocean. So everybody has their different opinions, different views. And by having different opinions, different views, and thinking this is me and this is him, like thinking in separation, we cause these interfering waves. Essentially, everybody's putting out their different signals, right? And so some will amplify, some will cancel out. But it's all happening on the surface. And so you get this sort of like wavy surface. And this is where we get almost like seemingly physical walls because you're creating all these waves, right? So all these waves are blocking signals, reflecting signals. There's so much going on the surface. But then when you move below the surface, what happens if you can get under all of these roots of all these trees is eventually all these roots kind of like lead back to the one place. And below that, below all the roots, there's just oneness. Like it's just the earth. It's like you go beneath all of the signals. And when you go beneath all of the signals, you get silence, you get calmness. It's kind of like in the ocean, you go beneath the surface of the ocean. If you go deep enough, everything is calm and signals can move smoothly. You know how like a signal can travel further in deep water? And this is where you get this idea of quantum tunneling, because now all these minds that were once separate and you couldn't access them on the surface, all this information because it was blocked by interfering signals, they now all open up. and you can now access everything. You can now literally quantum tunnel through anything because it's all one, it's all connected. There's no blocking signals. And the reason you can also do this very quickly is because when you go below the surface, what happens is that, again, think of this as all different people on the surface, all their differing beliefs, and then they all filter down into one being, one thing, you could say, at the very bottom. And when you go deeper and deeper and deeper, like I said, this mirror starts to get closer and closer together until it literally just becomes one thing, right? This is where everything is down here. And so when you get to this point, what tends to happen is that you are sitting in stillness, by the way, in this point. So essentially you have slowed down in life. You're just sitting here in stillness. But when you sit in stillness, when you slow down in life, you actually speed up within your mind. But it almost feels as if you were going nowhere, because when you speed up enough, it also seems like you were just in the same place. Do you get what I mean? So like slowing down is the same as speeding up a ton. So essentially, it's now like all this information is packed in this tiny space, and so now it's very easy to access this information. You don't have to travel far to get it. On the surface, you have to travel far distances to get this information. You know, you have to go between different people, different rule system, different blah, blah. There's all these rules, all these things on the surface, but down here, there's none of that. It's just oneness. And so now you have access to everything, but it's in a non-linear way. So you'll receive information in a non-linear format. And down here too, you will also start to experience extreme synchronicity, like not to the normal level that you might be used to. It's like you're now seeing interconnected patterns in everything. Everything is interconnected because down here, that's what happens. Everything is extremely connected because everything is one. Versus up here on the surface, everything is separated again by these waves. So all this idea of separation isn't even really real. It's just we're separated by these constant interfering signals. Or you could also say the conscious mind. The conscious mind is what keeps us separated from other people, keeps things individual. But again, when you go back to the source, you experience reality as if every single thing is you. And as a side note, you can move back and forth between this place. You don't stay down here all the time. It's nice to essentially go down and then resurface once again and bring that new information up to the surface. Again, this is what we call quantum tunneling, because look at it. If you were to go down over here on side A and then come up on side B, now it seems like you've quantum tunneled. You've collapsed time and space, right? But really, all you've done is just go within. You've swam deep. And I used to always say, you swim down to go up, because essentially we have that saying, as above, so below, but I see it as below, so above. So if you go down like this, you also can go up like this. So it's kind of like if you're trying to go over a mountain, you could go under instead of over it. Anyways, I know this isn't a perfect explanation. I kept waiting to try and give you guys a better video on this, but I'm like, I think I just need to share things at this point and just put them out there even if they aren't perfect, and that's the whole idea. So hopefully this is helpful to someone in some way.